Hi, hello, welcome to the show. It's directly to you, episode 212. I'm AJ. I'm of Redirect. I'm joined by Parker, also of Redirect. Redirect is the overarching channel of the Directly to You podcast. If you did not know that, if that wasn't clear enough, well, I'm making it clear to you right now. You can support all those things by going to youtube.com/watchredirect or twitch.tv/watchredirect and giving $4.99 of your or Jeff Bezos' money. If you're on Twitch specifically, all you got to do to steal from Jeff Bezos is go to Amazon if you have a Prime account and link it to your Twitch account, and you get a free sub every month. You just got to remember to renew it. If you haven't done it, you should do it. People listening live, which is one of the perks that you can do. If you forgot to do it, do it. But you probably didn't because you're here. But you can also do it because of Patreon. So that's an option. If you're on Patreon, you can also listen to the show live. And you do all the other cool stuff, minus the emotes, because there's no way to give you emotes on anything but Discord if you do Patreon. But outside of that, you get access to game nights and all the other fun stuff that we do together with the community members. And you get to see our videos early. One of which went live for Parker. Parker posted a video. You already saw the video probably because it goes up on Friday. Yep.
True. Time.
But you got to see the video way earlier than that. If you became a subscriber of any of your chosen places.
Nice.
Yeah, stuff. We're going to talk about video games and whatnot. And we're starting with 2022. The year sucks. It's the worst year of all time. Never didn't even get a single game I liked.
I mean, pretty much just sat around looking at the eShop and like
just being angry.
Just mad.
just being like, man, games suck.
Yeah. What a time. No, man, yeah, there was some discourse this week about whether 2022 is a good or bad year in games, and you know what? We discourse sometimes, so, so
do we
AJ,
truly?
what do you think?
I think
about this year.
I think what I always think, and that's that people are dumb. I am apparently a lot easier to please than the majority of the internet, and I really only need one or two games to want to play during the year, and I already got that. But also Pokemon is coming. So that's just another one on that list that I'm like, sick. This year's pretty cool, you know? Like still to this day, as far as like quality goes, my favorite year is 2018, and people act like that's the worst year. So it's like 2018 has spawned the vast majority of my playtime on my Switch, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
So I think that it's going to be a similar situation, and it's always a similar situation with every single year, because it turns out, despite the fact that, and I think this kind of plays into your video a little bit, and the way that people talk about and think about games, and the like vocal minority, is that if a game isn't like eventized in like this colloquial, like let's all get together and play the exact same thing, then that game wasn't important enough, and therefore the year suffered for it. But meanwhile, a lot of these games that sell millions and millions of copies have become that for all the little microcosms of gamers and their friends and family and all that stuff. That we don't know about because they're not talking about it on twitter.com.
I mean, even just that point, before even getting to the rest of them, is like kind of reminds me of Pokemon Go and the way that it's like, if you asked a casual person who only wears like jeans and t-shirts, super casual, so casual. Now, if you ask just like a regular person, then like Pokemon Go was a huge fad that was super popular in the first month that it was out, and then it's like, that's not really a thing anymore. Like, I guess Pokemon Go just went away. And meanwhile, it's more popular every year, or not more popular, but more successful every year. And it's just that like the crowd that's into it, which is arguably not even arguably, just is a very large crowd still, and is paying more and more money into it, is enjoying it more and more. And so like it's still a really big thing.
Pokemon Go as an entity is $1 billion industry on it.
Yeah.
like it makes at least $1 billion a year, and has done that for like the past 5-6 years.
Yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, like exactly like you said, yeah, it's kind of this feeling that like if there haven't been a lot of games that are spoken to me specifically, then it's a good or bad year or then it's a bad year, you know, based on that. But like that's just not the way that it works, you know? And I mean, I think it's perfectly fine to say like, yeah, this was a year that there wasn't a lot that I particularly enjoyed or whatever. Like that's fine. And I think
is different, and people on the internet never do that. Like, and that's the biggest problem, is that it always has to be this like declaration and framed in the most objective way possible. It's this year sucks. It's not a whole lot of games that I like came out this year. This year wasn't for me. It's always, no, this year was bad and you're dumb if you don't agree. Like, and that, I mean, again, that's usually the truth with everything that people on the internet do. It's like everyone wants to feel like they're smart, especially the people that are dumb. We just had this conversation.
Yeah. And like, I think honestly for me, the times where there's games that, or there's not like games that are immediately speaking to me, more often than not, well, it depends on, you know, time of life or whatever for me. But there's oftentimes there's like, if I want to play a game and there's not a game coming out that specifically speaks to me, then like all the better reason to, I mean, play backlog stuff potentially, but also like there's a lot of games that are out there that if I let myself get interested in them, then I know I'd love them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, for me, you know, I wish that I had a gap in gaming time that I could use for backlog stuff or just like, I was thinking about it today, just like how many games there are that like I'd like to pick up and play, but I just don't have money, time, whatever for it. So like every year becomes a good year in gaming at that point because there's just so much stuff that exists.
And that's the most wild part of it for me personally, where I am very much so not a backlog person. I play a game until I don't want to play the game anymore, and then I'll probably never touch it again. Maybe I'll come back, but probably not going to touch it again more often than not. It's like simultaneously cool on the internet to have a backlog and also to complain about the fact that you don't get to have more new games to add to your backlog. Like, what? Like, I can understand to a certain degree if people are more like me in that regard, where it's like, I don't care about the backlog. Once I'm done with a game, I'm done with a game. And then you run out of games to play if you feel like you always need something new to play. But like, they're on both ends of it. Like, you can't complain about your backlog and then also complain about the fact that new games aren't coming out that you want. Like, this is your perfect time, dude. Like, every year can be your year. It can be your year for clearing out your backlog or playing brand new games that just came out.
Yep. I mean, and honestly, for me, like, I am pretty selective about what games I actually buy. And then like also sometimes I'll ask for codes or whatever, but even then I'm a little bit selective about that. Well, right now I'm very selective about that, but in the past I've been more or less, depending on different times, what are selective about that. But even then, the games that I buy are like the games that I am fairly confident are like top priority for me to buy, kind of thing. Because like I'm not going to waste my money on not even waste money. I don't have that much money to spend on all sorts of games or whatever. But at the same time, I know that at least for me, there's a second tier of games just shy of that. That's games that's like, ooh, I'm interested in that. Like whenever it was announced or something like that, that I would have been interested in and just didn't quite get around to picking up. But if I ever just have something that I, just want to play and the zeitgeist isn't that important for that game specifically, especially, I don't know, it depends on the game. But there's just like a lot of games. It's like, I could buy that and play it now for the first time and just, be late to the party, but that's fine. I don't care. I'm fine to be late to the party for things that are good. So yeah,
I'm kind of at this point, if a game isn't like actively something that I want to play, it has to be on some level a zeitgeist game and that I kind of have interest in, like it has to have those two aspects for me to even think about buying it, and especially asking for a code. Like, I pretty much have always, except for maybe when I first realized like, oh shoot, like this YouTube channel is relevant enough that developers give me codes, Once I realized that, immediately I was like, I'm going to ask for as much as I can get, and I'm going to check them out, and then if I like them, I'll make a video. If I don't, but then after a while, I was like, I shouldn't do this. This isn't fair to them or me. So then I just started to ask for games that I already had an idea that I would like, and if I like it, I'll make a video. If I don't, I won't. Yeah. But the success rate of me making a video and asking for a game is pretty close to 100% at this point in time.
Right.
Because I know what I'm into, and I know what I'll even if it's a thing that I think I might not like. There's some type of video that I can get out of it. That's more like positive than like this game sucks, LOL. Because I never really like making videos like that.
Yeah, I think on that front for me, I have a hard time figuring out what I feel comfortable asking for right now, just because I don't want to I don't know what the threshold of exposure is. And so at different, depending on where we are in terms of performance or whatever, I don't want to take a code from a developer that could have gone to a little bit more exposure if they saved it for something else, that kind of a thing, which is silly, but also, I don't know. I just want to be nice.
Yeah.
It's a little tricky.
I think that's less of a thing. Just because either way, a video that is well made is good for them. It doesn't always have to be a number thing, because if it was just about numbers, they can get the numbers. They have money, It's more about a well thought out opinion on the thing that they made, that people can feel like they trust, because that's the one thing that they can't do for themselves. They can't tell you this game's great, and you'd be like, you're a good source on that. I'll definitely trust you, but you can trust this, a creator that's talking about the game, especially if they're not getting, if they're not huge, because then the immediate assumption of they're probably getting paid to say this is not there, because you think they're paying you to say it? Probably not.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. But yeah, as far as 2022 goes, I mean, here's, I don't know, do we want to talk about any of the games that came out this year? And
sure.
So in the first quarter, we got Pokemon Legends Arceus, got Triangle Strategy, and Kirby and the Forgotten Lands. And
already two games that I liked a lot.
Yeah, if we're talking
guess what, two?
Party
no,
as well, also Elden Ring, and I guess Horizon Forbidden West, but
I feel like that game kind of it got Breath of the Wild with Elden Ring, because I feel like people didn't really talk about that. My brother plays that game a lot.
Really? Elden Ring? Or
no?
Okay,
absolutely not. Horizon.
Huh. Well, there you go.
Yeah. He's been trucking along.
I mean, Triangle Strategy is one of those that I would like to be able to play, but there's other games that come higher in priority to that.
Yep.
Just, time and stuff. But all three of those games are great games, whether they're games that specifically anybody wants to play. All three of them reviewed well, and I don't know, good games, And also, I mean, as far as popularity goes too, two of those specifically, Kirby isn't the hugest franchise in terms of sales success or whatever, but already doing a lot better, and it's just, I don't know, very approachable. So that's something.
Yep.
Second quarter, we got Nintendo Switch Sports, Mario Strikers Battle League, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. And I can see that quarter not being for somebody or whatever, I didn't play any of those three games, but that doesn't mean that I'm not somewhat interested in them. And
also you got to look at it from the angle of most people are not looking at the games that they play quarterly. People aren't all right, what game am I going to buy this quarter? People might buy two games in a year, So I think that's almost too much for people to legitimately have a complaint about, that's kind of OD.
And then the third quarter we're in right now, we had Live Alive, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Kirby Dream Buffet, Splatoon 3. And also, I'm not even including this is just first party published games.
The big.
Yeah.
there's also other third parties and indie games and stuff like that in between all that.
Yeah. And then rest of the year we've still got Mario plus Rabbids, Bayonetta 3, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and TBD on the rest. We'll see. And like tons of third party. I think, okay, another thing too is like I can see how to some folks third party ports or remasters or re-releases or those kinds of things don't count for anything, because if you are like you own all consoles, you buy games as they're coming out and stuff like that, then I can see how for you Persona 5 coming to Switch just doesn't matter at all, or like Nier Automata coming to Switch doesn't matter even a little bit. But that doesn't mean that it's not a big deal still. You know, like,
exactly. And also, I just have a hard time believing those people, because I've always been somebody that has owned everything. And I miss all types of games that when it comes to a platform that I'm currently playing, and maybe there's a gap in my gaming that I can fill with something else, I'll pick up the port, you know, like, and for the Switch specifically, or now if you're a PC nerd, the Steam Deck, that gives you an additional reason to want to pick it up on this console, because it's like, oh, well, I might have not played Persona 5 on my PlayStation 4 because I gotta, like, it's like freaking appointment playing. It's like I gotta sit down at my TV, got my sound system on, you know, like all that stuff. It's like a thing, but on the Switch, it's like, all right, I can just undock it and like play it in bed, or, you know, on the train or whatever,
on the treadmill, on the toilet, you know, you got all the options.
It's true. All the things that people do in a day right there, just covered.
Yeah. Trains, treadmills, and toilets. That's the trifecta. But yeah, I mean, in large part, great year. Like, and I will be interested to, at the end of this year, I think it would be interesting to like rank the 5 years of the Switch or something like that. The 5 years that have happened so far, just because like I am curious how they all stack up at this point, because there's generally conversation around how they stack up or whatever, but like, I don't know, taking a little bit a zoomed out approach now that everything's happened. But still, while we're in it, this year's going real well and I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think that it's nuts, because when the year first started, people were like, this is 2017 year of the video game. And then Breath of the Wild, and only Breath of the Wild, as far as Nintendo games are concerned, got delayed. And people are now immediately being like, this year sucks. Which I think it says a lot about the quality of 2017. Because I've been saying for a long time, like, and I mean, for what it's worth, Breath of the Wild, great game, love it. But I've been saying for a long time, the only game that came out that really mattered in 2017 in that way is Breath of the Wild. And I mean, you can argue Mario Odyssey, but
tier under that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like,
totally. And like, honestly, it's, you know, and take Splatoon 2, like people put that in there for sure.
Splatoon 2 is great.
Count it.
Exactly, but then not count Splatoon 3. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's like Splatoon 2 had the legacy that came after it. So in your mind, it's the thing it ended up being, not the thing that started out as. And we're getting right now the thing that Splatoon 3 is starting out as. So, you know, it feels like a smaller thing, but it's like, it's the same. Like, it's more.
If anything, it's a bigger thing. Yeah, because it's a better game, a higher quality game. It has more fans that are actively looking to play the next thing. Because before Splatoon 2, freaking 4 million people played Splatoon and had experience with it. But now there's like 13 million that are looking to play the next thing, and their friends that are like, I'm not going to jump in yet, but when the next thing comes, you know, like, who's to say that, like, they could double Splatoon 2 for all we know, you know, if not more than that. So like, I don't know, I just think that the whole thing is dumb. I think that people need to just freaking play games and just shut up. Like, if you never have anything positive to say, I don't want to hear your opinion on games. Like, it's one thing if like there's good and bad, but if it's always like, this year, so like, you spend more time complaining than you do playing games, and that makes those thoughts irrelevant to me.
Yep, it is really funny looking back at 2017, and like, I mean, I've just got my spreadsheet up here because we all love spreadsheets. But like, yeah, outside of Breath of the Wild, literally everything. Like 1-2 Switch, Nintendo Switch Sports, Mario Kart 8's like, okay, Mario Kart 8's like DLC, I guess, so that's something. But Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3, Fire Emblem Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and the sequel to that. Like, basically,
I'd even argue Breath of the Wild has some level of an equivalent with Pokemon. And I would say that Pokemon, like, as far as consistency goes, is a bigger deal than Breath of the Wild. But
yep. And it's 2 games, so does that count for?
Yeah.
No. Who's to say?
Yeah. Yep.
I am so curious about Scarlet and Violet and just how those turn out.
I think it's looking good.
Yeah. But you know what's not looking good is some information that came out about Nintendo of America. Yeah, this is, I mean, not quite content warning, but like, you know, barely. I mean, I'm not going to like read the whole article because it's a pretty in-depth article. But right there, my dog is crazy. But yeah, Nintendo, let's see. Let's read the headline at least. Nintendo of America's testers say they've faced years of sexual harassment, among other things. I guess as you read more of the article, it's not just that, but it's also just kind of regular, like, not good situations, which we'd already heard about some of that early on in the year in like April, I think. But then also hearing about this. The long and short of it is that Aerotech, which is a contracted company that like Nintendo farms out their Q&A to this company, and these employees are like kind of Nintendo employees, but not really Nintendo employees because they're contracted. And they'll work on QA for like typically I think it said like 11 months and then need to take a 2-month break and then work on more games after that or whatever. But yeah, they're just testing Nintendo games. So like for all intents and purposes, you'd think kind of Nintendo employees. And but things are not all great at Aerotech or its subsidiary, reorganized, whatever, Aston Carter. And there's issues there. So yeah, there were a bunch of people that came out about sexual harassment, and off the top of my head, I'm not actually remembering exactly what those examples are, but like largely it's a lot of especially like just bad corporate stuff where I mean, yeah, maybe you could speak better to some of this because I'm blanking a little bit, but
I mean, I don't know all the full details to it, to the situation. All I can say is like if it's like a contractor situation and they should contract somewhere else, or just have their own QA, because they have their own QA in Japan. Like they have the like Club Mario, I think it's called something Mario. They should just do that here, because then like even if it's best case scenario, they didn't know about this, right? Like it's somewhere that they're contracting, they're just like, hey, QO tested games and report back. Like obviously they're not going to report to them about that, you know, like the Aerotech is not going to tell Nintendo that Aerotech is a terrible place to work. So like if that's the case and now they're being made aware of it, and they don't have any pull there, and they didn't know about it, then what they should do now is get rid of that relationship. But if they do have something to do with it, and they did know about it, then we got a whole different situation on our hands, and a lot more stuff needs to be done. And I wonder how high up this goes, you know? Like, is this just a Nintendo of America specific thing?
Right. I mean, so I remembered that I'd read like half of the article, and then I was like, I'll finish the article later, and I didn't finish the article later. So because it's kind of long, so I'm skimming through some of the like examples and stuff like that, but like we're not gonna get into those specifically. But I think the second half of this is that, you know, According to Doug Bowser, he says, we have strict policies designed to protect our employees and associates from inappropriate conduct and expect full compliance with these policies by all who work for or with us. We have and will always investigate any allegations we've become aware of, and we are actively investigating these most recent claims. Please remember that our HR teams are here to support you. If you have experienced, witnessed, or have witnessed anything concerning such behavior, blah, 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 like reach out to people. The thing that I tweeted, and like, I work in a corporate job essentially. Like my immediate stuff doesn't feel that corporate, but like technically there's like lots and lots of layers in corporate. If you're in an environment where you feel like you can't go to HR, or if you do go to HR and nothing changes, nothing really happens, and like a lot of the examples were that kind of a thing where like someone does something of a sexual harassment nature, and then somebody goes to HR and is like, hey, this is going on, and then all that happens is that person just has to like watch a training video to try to fix it or whatever. It's like that doesn't cut it, and that's like not good enough. And it sounds like that's just like generally the culture that's there. And that's one of those things where it's like you are going to get scumbags no matter what that happen. It's the way that you deal with those people happening, and
yeah, like who's being enabled here? Like, is it are they looking out for those people, and like, do these policies make it easier for them to be terrible people, or are you making an effort to remove these people when it comes to that? Because that is the more important thing, Like I know, like Nintendo's like just across the board, like internationally, they're like super famous for like their like employee retention, like how much people enjoy working there and stay there for a really long time. Is part of that because of stuff like this, where like they keep people regardless, but it feels like if that's the case across the board, that they wouldn't have that. Like it's just I don't know if this is a Nintendo specific thing, just because like when you see a lot of these other companies, their culture reinforces stuff like this, and you can see it at every level of the company. Like you can see the type of stuff that Activision is okay with because of what they do and don't enforce with their communities, whereas like with Nintendo, I feel like they like go out of their way to like enforce stuff like this. That said, it could also be a situation where, and I feel like a lot of people like are going to bat for this perspective specifically, is like it's like this front, it's like they go out of their way to have this facade to hide the fact that in reality they're okay with this sort of stuff. I don't work there, so I don't know which one. I don't know which one is true. I would hope that the former is true. Not even as a Nintendo fan, but just as somebody that would hope that all places are good to their employees.
Yeah, no, it's tough. And like, I mean, like Cal just said too, the article talked about the guys getting promoted a lot more too, which is, there was one story where like, there were 20 people that worked on this one team, and all of them, like not everybody's going to come back for the next project or whatever. And the next people that came, or the people that were hired back for the next project, were guys. Yeah. And it's like some of them, and one of them was one of the people that was guilty of like, some amount of harassment and stuff like that, which is like, or at least, was reported to HR a couple of times, which is like, yeah, that's really bad. So, and to your point too, I think the interesting thing, or I mean, the telling thing to some degree, at least, because we can never fully know, but will be what the response to this is.
Yeah. What do they do here?
Obviously, they said they're investigating, but like that's, you can say that and then
everybody says that
about it or do nothing about
it.
So it's like,
how many times has Activision said that?
Exactly. Yeah. So, because I mean, like you said, again, it could very well be a front, but like from what it seems like, at least the like higher ups at Nintendo of America, like, they don't seem to, as opposed to Activision, they don't seem to be the ones that are guilty of this, which I would hope would mean that they can reinforce that down the tree.
Right.
You know, like if I'm running a company, then like I'm not going to let the people beneath me, I can fire people or whatever, you know, like, and fix it. Whereas like if I'm the source of the issues at the top, then like that's bad.
Right.
Yeah. So in any case, it, you know, super sucks. And I don't think there's a clean way to fix all this too, because like there's humans that are involved in this. And if they just stop using this company and use
then they're
company,
losing
all those people, you know, that were like, oh, we kind of work for Nintendo, sort of, are suddenly not working for Nintendo. So it's like, do they manually fix the culture at a company that isn't actually theirs? Or
yeah, the best case scenario, like the best course of action there is they buy them. They could do that.
I was gonna say, yeah,
they could do that. Buy them, but again, like that becomes a whole different situation that we can't really speak that much on, because like, does Nintendo of America have that kind of power? You know, to acquire a company on behalf of Nintendo as a whole? You know, like how much can they do?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a sense of like how, like, what do you expect? But like, no, literally, how much power do they have? And is that something that they can do? Because if it is, they should like just straight up acquire them and then fire all the people responsible for this.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Also, I just was scrolling through the article and I saw Golden Sun in here. I don't know the context.
Oh my God.
Oh, it says, such as Golden Sun, multiple Pokemon titles, and Breath of the Wild. AJ, that's us. That's got us. If they just had Smash in there, then that would be Parker and AJ just to a T.
Sakurai QA's Smash Brothers all by himself.
That's true. The 17 hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, we'll see how stuff progresses from this, and we'll update as stuff happens. But yeah, hopefully it gets fixed.
It gets fixed.
Corporate gaming and stuff is an interesting beast, and that's why Ebracer Group buying all of these studios and IPs is also interesting.
Wow, this is I saw one particular part of this and I was like, oh God. I was like, yeah, we're definitely talking about this.
Yeah, so Ebracer Group. I didn't know who Ebracer Group was, just because it's such a,
I still don't like like I know who they are, in the sense that like they at one point or another bought THQ Nordic, and then they were like that whole thing. But like before that, like what? Like who were they? How did they get the money to do that in the first place?
That is a great question.
I think it's money laundering.
You know what? As long as they put out good games, I hope so.
What?
No, I'm Josh. Then again, I don't really know much about money laundering.
I mean, that's a good thing, I guess.
I guess, yeah. But yeah, so Embracer Group. So here, I'm gonna look at the things that they did own beforehand. Just some examples are, like you said, THQ Nordic. That's a big one. And so, what I want to know is like, there's some franchises that I don't know what they're owned by or whatever. Like what, you know, if they said these are the IPs that are under each of these, then that would be nice. But maybe if I go to their website, it'll say that. Let me check that real quick, everybody. Hold on. But yeah, some like THQ Nordic and
they got
Asmodee. That sounds familiar. Dark Horse Media. Gearbox, that's a big one.
Yep, that company sucks.
Playon, I don't know what that is, but they under them is Deep Silver, which sounds familiar for some reason.
Yeah,
I think, is that the one that Modern Vintage Gamer works for, or is that, I don't know. Saber Interactive, which is also familiar, but I don't remember what they own.
I just know that Deep Silver specifically, they're like the Saints Row people. Or they became the Saints Row people. But they published and/or made other stuff that I know but cannot name off the top of my head, because these are all places that are like third-party developers, and I don't play that many third-party games.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't know. So, but in any case, they own all this stuff. The new things that they own, because they made some acquisitions, are Middle Earth Enterprises, which was the thing that you saw.
Yes. Yeah.
And so this is interesting though, because they bought the rights to the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Hobbit, the like movie, book, game, and all, like a bunch of stuff rights. And I guess just excluding the TV shows because Amazon Prime has that.
Yeah.
So Amazon has that. So that's just interesting how that's across the two, but also like, does Ebracer Group make movies? Are they going to be,
Is it for movies?
Yeah, that's somewhere I saw, like in the main. So I put in the article, Ebracer Group, Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit's bought by blah blah blah. Where? Say the words. Somewhere. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, that means everything from Peter Jackson's films to EA video games, we're only licensing the Lord of the Rings rights, blah, blah, blah. Amazon's upcoming TV series, meanwhile, relied on a loophole that excluded a TV series of more than 8 episodes being included within those rights. So Amazon got like one sneaky thing. Ebracer Group just bought the rest of the chunk that already was all lumped together, is what it seems like. And, okay, and now for $2 billion, Ebracer Group bought just all the rest of that, which I guess they just didn't want to split it up. So even if they're not in the business of making movies and books and stuff like that, they're just doing it. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Alex said they can partner with the studio to make films. So
they bought Lord of the Rings for half of Star Wars.
There you go. That's the one. So yeah, that. And then, but the other things that they bought, some of these we'll recognize, some not. Limited Run Games. We recognize that one. That's fun. Tuxedo Labs. I don't know that one.
Never heard
Tripwire
of them before.
Interactive. Sting Tricks. Tatsujin sounds familiar, but I don't know that I know it. Bidwave Games. This one I do know. They made Wonderling, which
I remember.
A while ago. I met them at
PAX.
And I found out about that. So, but they're now doing like, they're bringing back old IPs, or not old IPs, but they're like doing, new ports of old games kind of things.
Yep.
Is their first project at least, which that's fun. And then Geotech, which I don't know what that is. And then the last thing
gaming accessory brand.
Ah, yes, you're right. And then the last thing it says is another company with within PC/console gaming that for commercial reasons is not disclosed today.
What?
Do you have any guesses of what that one would be? Because I don't.
I think it's Xbox.
I think it's Nintendo. So toe to toe.
Imagine Ebracer Group was like, yeah, we're buying Xbox, and like then it's definitely money laundering for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it is, but the Swedish company announced in May that it plans to acquire a large part of Square Enix's Western development arm, which would be the owner of Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, Square Enix Montreal, and Tomb Raider and Deus Ex and stuff. So the one interesting thing out of this too is, where was the quote? Somewhere there's a quote in here that basically is like, somebody asked, where do you see, games going in the future? Like what's your mantra behind games or something like that? And basically he was like, yeah, I just want kind of games to go back to the old school, like none of this NFT stuff or whatever, just making games. And I was like, that's nice. Because like too many heads of things these days are focused on not that. So that's good to see that we're kind of, just
I'm just scared that this means that, we just want games to go back to the old days where like there's just a whole bunch of shovelware and like games that are not intended, but like we don't care how good they are, just as long as they make money. That's
also possible. Yeah.
Is a real possibility here that I don't think people pay enough attention to.
I mean, so because out of these, the like THQ Nordic, makes a bunch of games and stuff, but I do feel like a lot of the games that they make are kind of above shovelware status, but not by that much.
I think there's like the SpongeBob game that they
for example,
remade is like the level of game that it feels like I usually see them make, and that's not good. Those games aren't good.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at their so because Destroy All. I don't actually know some of the, and I'm not going to argue too much with the shovelware kind of thing, just because I don't recognize so many of them. And that doesn't
you never heard of Destroy All Humans?
Shovelware.
Destroy All Humans.
No, I do recognize Destroy All Humans, but just so many of the other ones. I mean, so they made Biomutant, and like that one again though was like it was well received but not great.
Yeah.
And Darksiders is them and stuff. So like, I don't know. So that's THQ. What was one of the Saber Interactive? What does Saber Interactive still make? Some games that are recent of theirs is Crysis, the Crysis remastered games, World War Z, Evil Dead the game. And then I think they do a bunch of ports and stuff, or like not like remaking games like the
SpongeBob like kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think theirs are typically focused on like, they did the Switch, The Witcher, so they're more of like a panic button.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about
now. Which I mean, they do a good job at that, but like, it's just all in all, interesting stuff. Oh, okay, and even like World War Z and stuff, I think they publish. Yeah, I think they're just the port house for a lot of these games.
So, as somebody that knows absolutely nothing about the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit, thoughts on the movies? Are they going to make more? Would that make people angry?
Yeah, I feel like I would say make Lord of the Rings movies and things very sparingly. That would be my opinion. Like, I'm excited about the Amazon Prime one. Obviously, a lot of thought and care has been put into it. Whether it turns out well or not, TBD. But like, I would like those things to be as high quality as possible. And I don't want Ebracer Group to be the ones making them. So that's me. But I think it's more like they make the residual money off of those things, and that's fine. They can make all the money they want off of that, because whatever.
I mean, money not going to you anyway, so
exactly, yeah. But as far as making new ones, I don't think. Also, I don't think that would be worth their. If they made a bad one, it would cheapen the film brand of it even more. Like Trev said, the Hobbit movies were so bad. I watched the first one and I watched half of the second one. No, I watched the whole second one. I didn't watch just half of it, but I never watched the third one.
I didn't know there was a third one. I didn't know there was like, well, actually, did I know there was a second one? I heard the whole thing about the double frame rate, the 48 frames per second situation. I don't know which movie it was. And that's all I know about that.
I would like to go back and rewatch them at some point. Oh yeah, Alec, they made 3. There was it was the first one I don't remember the subtitles of them. The last one is The Desolation of Smaug, and the second one is Desolation of Smaug, and I think the third one is
The Hobbit before or after the Lord of the Rings?
It's before, but here's the weird thing is Lord of the Rings was 3 books that were very, very long, and they condensed them to make them be 3-hour movies each.
Okay.
And The Hobbit is a 200-word book, or I'm sorry, not 200, like a 200-page book or something like that, like a short, basically kids book, that they turned into 3-hour-long movies. So by like pulling in.
They did the Hunger Games thing where they're like,
yes.
here's the first 2 books ? And then the third book they made into 2 movies. Matter of fact, they do that with like all the like freaking like YA adaptation movies where they make like the first few and then the last.
And it was exactly
book,
in that
like
same
it's divided
time frame.
into
So like,
it
was all. I mean, Harry Potter did it well, and then everybody else was like, "Ooh, we could do that too." And then Alec, just like you just said. So. Yeah, it is what it is. But I would like to go back and rewatch the Harry Potter.
That I never got into any of this.
Honestly, still, I mean, like, obviously, sure, you'd probably not love them, but the Lord of the Rings movies are still great. The Hobbit ones were just like, yeah, they had to pull in a bunch of source material from other things and kind of make up stuff to fill in gaps, which is fine. But it's just like the tone was, they tried to do the Lord of the Rings again, but it's just like, it doesn't have that tone. That's not the intent of it. So it was weird to do that. So I don't know. Oh, I love the Lord of the Rings though. Yeah, Rise. Lord of the Rings is phenomenal.
Also, games. Have you played the Shadow of Mordor and like all that?
I haven't. I would be interested to play them for sure. I mean, I'm sure I've said this many times, but like the Lord of the Rings GameCube games, I very much liked. Those were great. But yeah, I've never played I just haven't had a console that had them on there. But I'd probably be interested in playing those to some degree.
I'd be curious. Well, never mind, because you still like Mario 64. So I was going to say I'd be curious to see if they remade it, if you would still like it. You probably would.
I think I would. It's also just like it's certainly not janky in the same way Mario 64 is or whatever. It's just probably kind of simpler. I mean, it's a hack and slash kind of game, but like not to the Warriors type degree. More, I don't know. Like there's a lot of enemies, but it's also not like Devil May Cry or whatever. It's just, it's, like button combos and stuff, and you level up. There's some RPG sort of things a little bit, but it's just like you level up and now you just have an extra combo you can do, and that kind of thing. And there's a couple levels. So
like pretty standard licensed game.
Just like
from the early 2000s.
Exactly. Like a more finely tuned version of that. And it had some, a couple, like FMV cutscenes kinds of things, where it would like go from being the scene from the movie and then it would blend into being their GameCube, PS2, whatever models, which at the time looked fine, but now is like probably kind of janky. So yeah, but it was good. It was just a fun little time. And I've heard other people speak highly of them still as well. So I feel like that is something, but it's just like a fun game, Nothing crazy.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's Ebracer Group.
Nice. I'm happy for you.
Yep. We'll see what happens with that. But we don't need to see what happens with Kirby Dream Buffet because it's already out.
True. Do we not have to see that? I didn't buy it. I might.
Oh, I did.
Oh, did you play it?
Yeah, I did. You can play it on my account.
Cool.
Yeah. It was only $15, and we're watching our neighbors' dogs, and they gave us like a $40 Visa gift card for that.
Oh, nice.
Like they didn't need to do that. I literally just going over feeding their dogs and saying hi. But I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take it. So used that, bought the game, and I'll talk about it in a second. Also, Wave Race is out now.
True.
So,
this is just a good week for you, man. This is a Parker week.
All the stuff. But yeah, I mean, news-wise, I guess, because Kirby Dream Buffet, we can just talk about it in the games we're playing section. So
True.
Just go ahead and
Are we done with other news?
We're done with other news.
Okay. Games.
Hey. I'll go first and talk about Kirby Dream Buffet. Look at that. What a transition. So there's some good and some bad. I'll go ahead and say the bad first. The local only has, we already knew this, but only has 2-player co-op on one, or 2-player on one Switch, which is really silly. And like, I'm sure it's for like performance kind of reasons or something, I guess. But still, like, it would make for a really fun little party game kind of thing with other friends. And like, Ashley and I play it, the two of us, a couple of times, and she enjoyed it a lot as well. But the fact that we would have to be paired up against CPUs, even if friends were here, unless they also brought a Switch, which they wouldn't have on the TV, and bought it themselves, and probably would need 2 Switches so they don't have tiny screens and sharing around one Switch that's not a...
Can you play on 3 different Switches?
Yeah, you can do it locally like that, but
okay,
is messy.
Yeah.
So
just
that's the downside.
LAN party it up, dude. Tell them to bring CRTs.
That's right.
Yeah. Just bring your Switches, and there you go.
Yeah. But I mean, otherwise though, gameplay, it's I played online twice. The first time somebody had a bad internet connection, might have been me. I was upstairs, so who's to say? But yeah, first time was kind of rough. Second time was like perfect, like not a single frame hitch. I mean, within reason, I guess. I was expecting not great things.
I saw people. I hate this. I hate it because like, even though like I get it, like it's just easier to like be angry at a corporation. I get that. At the expense of being stupid, though, I think it's kind of crazy. Like, because they're like, oh, dude, bad net code. It's like, yeah, I mean, I guess so. But at the same time, if your internet is bad, your internet is bad. You know? Mm-hmm. So like, if it's just because the net code is bad, then it will always be bad, regardless of if the internet is good or not. But if you have good connection some of the time, it's probably not all the game's fault. Yeah, like
yeah, exactly. And I mean, like comparing this to Fall Guys, for example, there are a lot more people in Fall Guys, but also there's a lot more interaction in this game. Like in Fall Guys, you can hold people, which like if I'm thinking of, an axis or whatever of things, that's barely any of like hitboxes and stuff. Like I think in Fall Guys they specifically tried to come up with like as few axes and things to consider so that like a line can be moving and you just have a little character model around that line and it's doing what it can. Whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. Whereas in this, like you get power-ups and you use the power-ups to do things to other people and stuff. So like there's more going on in that sense in terms of the ways that you interact with other characters. And if you did that and it was wrong, like I'd rather just hope for good internet connections and my interactions with other people be correct than being like, wait, I hit you. Like that doesn't, that kind of a thing. I don't know. I mean, that's just me. I also don't play online that much, so I guess I don't really care. But nevertheless, yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't have a reason to play it yet. Maybe I'll play it next week. Who knows? Yeah. But who knows, man?
Yeah, but yeah, the main gameplay is pretty fun. It is like it feels like a mix between kind of Cake Bash for some of it, but more. So okay, every time you play a full Grand Prix kind of thing or whatever, there's a race level and then a really, really short little level that does feel more like Cake Bash, and then another race level and then Battle Royale level. And so the race ones, you're just like going through trying to race as fast as you can, pick up strawberries on the way, but then also the first person to get to the end of it there's a 50 strawberry pile. Bonus. Yeah, exactly. So like first, second, and third place get these things, except you have to like go to the right one. There's been a couple of times where I've been in third place or something where I like go for the 50, but then somebody gets it right before me. So then I go for the 20, but somebody gets it right before me. And then by the time I try to go start for the 10, the person who was in fourth place went for that one instead. And that's like tricky. You gotta play mind games at that point and like know where your place is. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, so that's what that one is. And then the Battle Royale ones are like, you can actually come back pretty well in that because you're picking up strawberries as you go, but also picking up power-ups. And if you knock somebody else off, they lose 10, 15, 20 strawberries or whatever, and you gain those ones. So like, if you're just good at the last round, you can probably come back from fourth place semi-consistently. Like
come back and win, or just not be in fourth place?
I think come back and win if you do well enough, if you're aggressive enough or whatever at that, like probably. But I don't know, maybe not. So in any case, it's fun. It's not like a game that lasts forever or anything, but
I mean, for $15, whatever, it doesn't need. It shouldn't have to need to last forever for $15. Again, but again, who knows, man? People might be complaining next week this, I can't believe I paid $15 whole and I only got 13 hours of fun out of this video game.
What a shame.
Rip off.
I mean, at this point, if I get a movie's worth out of it, then like, that's it.
How dare you?
Like going to the movies.
You're robbing gamers of value. We should be getting 10 hours per dollar spent, at least.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's a ripoff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. It's out, and go check it out if you want. But yeah, you can play it on my profile if you want to at some point. Mm-hmm. And that's just one of the many things I'm playing. But let's hand it over to you. What you got, AJ?
Well, I'm playing. Which one do you want to hear about, man? I'm freaking playing Multiverses, kinda. They nerfed Bugs Bunny, and that makes me angry. But like, I don't even entirely know what they nerfed, other than the stuff that was just cheating anyway. Like he had this thing that he could do. He has his side special as a rocket. He like rides the rocket. It's like Villagers Lloyd rocket, kinda, but totally. Better than that. He can do that, and with the old exploit, you can do 2 of them. So it's like you initiate it, and then you mash it again, and then 2 rockets come out, and you can shoot a rocket forward and a rocket up, or 2 rockets up, or 2 rockets forward. And it was ridiculous. And that was always the thing that's like, they're taking this out. this is not staying in the game. But then also, apparently you could do, so he has another neutral special in the air. Well, it's on the ground too, but it's different on the ground because it's like you place a target and then it falls from the sky. It's a safe. Apparently you can do 2 safes, and I feel robbed for my moment in the sun to cheese people with 2 safes. That's messed up. How come I didn't know about that? But apparently that was the thing you could do, and they took that out too. And also Bugs Bunny, his down special, he picks up, like on the ground, he picks up a pie and he throws the pie. And before you could throw 2 pies, but now you can only throw 1 pie. And also the pie slows people down, or it slowed people down, and now it no longer slows people down. So they freaking nerfed them. And I think they nerfed his down air. So it's dumb.
All these things. So like when you say you can't do 2 of them anymore, you like do 1 and then have to wait.
Yeah, it's a cooldown. Yeah, it's a cooldown. Even more than that. Like you do 1 and then you gotta wait like 30 seconds before you could do it again. Wow. Yeah.
Even for like the pies and stuff?
Yes. So it was like the cooldown is shorter for the pie than it is for the rocket, but there's still a cooldown on all the things. Interesting. It makes me sad.
Huh. Is there a like, you said you can like boost your character or like do things that make your character better? Is there like one that like decreases cooldowns and stuff?
Yeah, but there's better perks that are just because I only play it on 2v2, so my perks are like all things that are better for the team overall, and they're like centralized. It's like stuff that no matter what character you're using, this is good for you. So it's like increased airspeed, an extra jump, higher attack knockback when you're attacking the person with the highest damage. And I'd rather not trade those for something as specific as like the cooldown for Bugs Bunny's rocket or whatever. So, but I mean, Bugs Bunny, I still think he's good, but he was OD before. Like he was like freaking best in the game. It wasn't particularly close IMO, but now he's less that. He's still very good though. And I just got it, just the rocket, really. The main thing for me is the double rocket. I got too used to that. And that the irony is like, I knew that part was leaving. Like that I knew was going to go. I never expected them to get rid of the pie stuff.
Yeah. Are you still playing with Pete for the most part?
No, I played with Pete one time on his stream. I'm mostly playing with my friend West. So I played with him on stream on Monday, and then
he was also playing Fortnite a bunch, right?
Yes,
he was the one you were playing Fortnite with?
Yep. Also that well, I don't know, you got other games?
Sure, yeah, I'll throw one in there.
Okay, go for it.
I played 2 demos this week of just games that I downloaded. 3 demos. 3 demos. I downloaded 4, but I only played 3. I played the demo for Klonoa. I played the first game of that, and it seems like it would have been a good game for its time. I don't really care about it right now, and that's fine. Yeah, I was not like particularly into it, but like I can see how it's good, like well done of its nostalgia and stuff like that. But like, you know, kind of standard. Yeah, not bad, like not even janky. I'd say just at this point very by the books. So
yep,
you know, that's fine. I didn't play the second of the 2 Klonoa games that was in there, but I'd imagine it's probably a little bit better. But
I only played one Klonoa game. It was a 3D one. I think aren't these ones 2D?
Yeah, these like I
played a 3D like Klonoa game on the PlayStation 2 ? It was alright. It was okay.
And then I played a demo for Picross S7, which I always knew that I would like Picross, and then I downloaded the demo and I was like, yeah, I would like it. The only thing I don't like about it is there's a timer, and I don't know, I couldn't find somewhere to turn off the timer, and I understand the concept of the timer, but it's like right there, and I wish it was just in the background and was like, hey, took you 20 minutes to do this one, and I'd be like, cool, good to know. But instead it's like sitting right there and just like take it away. What I don't know is like going through, I don't know how many puzzles there are in each game, and so like puzzle games are hard like that because once you do all of them, they're done. And so there is a certain amount of like money to thing, because there's not a whole lot of magic in that kind of puzzle. It's just like baseline entertainment of like, it's nice to do a puzzle or something like that. And so if the price is, I don't know, basically like the price to time spent, it feels more one-to-one than some other games do. So I'm sure it's pretty good though. I don't know. But it was fun to play the demo. So maybe I'll check that out at some point and actually get a Picross game and play it, but I don't need that right now. So, and last demo I played was Diofield Chronicles, I think it's called. I don't know when that game comes out. I think September or something like that, but I played the demo for it and I thought it was fun. It's a tactics RPG kind of thing, but like, so kind of Fire Emblem-y, it seems like, but the tactics part feels almost a little bit more like turn-based meets like sort of MMO combat, in that it's like when you're picking your move, everything either goes at 0% speed or like maybe 1 or 2% speed or something like that. Alex said, breaking news, Parker played this demo before me. Yeah, I did. I think it had just come out when I downloaded it. I was like, oh, that game looked cool. But yeah, so in any case, the combat feels like as you're doing it, it's kind of like you're chipping away at the other person as they're chipping away at you, sort of a thing. And it's not like you have a certain amount of distance you can go within your turn or whatever. It's just like I guess it's kind of more like an RTS really than an MMO in that. Whatever. It's interesting. Like it's a fun little crossbreed of all those kinds of things. I don't know whether I have the time and attention span for the story parts of it is the only problem. Again, like triangle strategy, but the combat was fun. So I don't know. I kind of fell asleep. I tried to play it right before bed a couple nights ago and was in the middle of the story bits and was like, and then got to where the combat happened and had fallen asleep by that point because I was tired. So we'll see if I keep going, but it was cool. So if you like strategy RPGs, this one seems like a good one to get, and maybe I will, maybe not. Back to you. What you got?
Fortnite. We're playing that still. Yeah. Goku's in the video game.
How do you feel about that?
Fine. I got Goku because I thought it was pretty pog that when you do your emote, you could turn Super Saiyan, and then a bunch of other forms that I have less attachment to, but it's still cool that like you can be like, oh crap, somebody's near me. I go Super Saiyan, and you freaking go Super Saiyan, and then you're Super Saiyan. It doesn't do anything for gameplay, but you can do it.
Does it not do anything?
No, absolutely not.
Otherwise, that would be like kind of OP for.
Yeah, because he costs money, man. Like freaking paid. True. Like $20 for Goku, man. Goku and Beerus and.
So you probably can't unlock them without paying money, right?
There's some stuff you can unlock without paying money. Like I think you can get Bulma or something. Like, but Goku costs money and Vegeta costs money and Beerus costs money. But yeah, I just got the like bundle thing that had Goku and Beerus and other accessories, and then I got the Nimbus Cloud because the Nimbus Cloud is cool. Rye said, I think the Shenron Glider is the only free thing. There's also like there's emotes that you can get. There's like a level on the same so Shenron you get if you find all 7 Dragon Balls, but there's other stuff that you can get if you like max out all the requirements for the other crap. I don't know exactly what it is because I don't care that much. But yeah.
Man.
But yeah, no, playing that game.
Fortnite's doing cool stuff these days. Like,
it's true.
That's neat, you know.
It's true.
I hope the company's an okay place. It's like Epic. They were under some scrutiny for a while there, right? Like people didn't like them much or something.
Yeah, probably.
So if that's the case, then I feel bad praising the game or whatever. But then again, I mean, Nintendo was just under some scrutiny and praised their game, so whatever.
True. That said, I still don't like the game that much. Like, it's fun because it's fun to play with friends, and that's Pog. But like, it definitely would not be a game that I would play by myself. I have no desire at all to play this game by myself. But I'm down to play it with friends, and it incentivizes it further when they do stuff like this, and they let me do the Kamehameha on the Nimbus Cloud. That's pretty neat.
That's cool.
But yeah, that's Fortnite. Playing the game.
Last thing for me, well, other than I will be playing Wave Race when it comes out. Well, it's out now, so I'll be playing that a little bit later. I'll let you know next week if it holds up or not. Literally, yeah, the last time I played that was when I was 9 or 10 or something. so we're finna find out. But I'll also get Ashley to play it because like I played Pokemon Snap around her, like the original, and she was like, oh yeah, that looks interesting. And she really enjoyed the new Pokemon Snap, but just goes to show the like N64 graphics are dated and stuff. But I feel like the gameplay of Wave Race just kind of holds up because it's just kind of fun, with all the water and stuff and at this point, it's still not been recreated that many times to where it probably still feels fresh. But we'll find out. I'll give my honest review.
Please don't call it that. I hate when people do that. And I know we're like at least cool with people, with more than one person that has that type of like titling thing, but I hate it so much.
Wait, me or Mark?
The honest review thing. Yeah. No, the honest review.
Yeah. I don't even mean
because that should be implied.
Like, yes, but like, I mean, outside of bias, in terms of like,
yep.
Because I think it's too easy to fall into the like nostalgia trap or whatever. But like, pull down the nostalgia wall and be like, this is what's good. This is what is good because it's already in my brain, kind of a thing. So we'll see. But yeah, the last one that I actually did play was last night. I played a little bit of Punch Out, NES Punch Out, which I'd never played before.
About why?
I don't know. I just wanted something quick to play that like I have a lot of games that it would be like, yeah, I could play this, but I just wanted to like just play something real quick. And I was like, you know what? I haven't ever played Punch Out before. Or I think first I just went to the NES library and I was like, I wonder if there's anything good on here that I'd be interested in playing. And Punch Out was there. So I tried it. I beat the first cup or whatever it is, the minor cup or something like that. And even on the NES, that is a fun game. Like never played it before, none nostalgia or whatever, but it's just a cool little game.
Yeah. It's one of those games that's like a shining example for what I'm always talking about with retro games. When people are like, oh, for its time, or like, it's like, nah, like there's plenty of games that like knew what their limitations were and stuck within them. And wasn't trying to like punch above their weight and failing miserably.
And like, I'm sure there's there's room for visually improvement, like even better mechanics or whatever in the future. And then also things like, I know two things. Like, I know in the Wii version, they had like cutscenes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then for me, the other thing that I would like to add even to that is that it's not just like a boss rush mode kind of thing, but that there's a world to explore or something, whatever. But the main mechanics of just the punch out thing, which is the part that actually matters, and that all the rest is just like fluff for having fun, to make my brain think that the game is better even than it is.
Yeah.
It just did that. It did it great. With,
they could easily
and
RPG-ize Punch Out. It would not even be hard for them to do.
Yep. So yeah, it was fun. And honestly, like, even I'm sure they've added, more stuff to the combat or whatever than it is, but I wouldn't want to add too much stuff, because then you're starting to get into more like an arena fighter as opposed to a 2D
I think the game already works the way that it is. I think that like that sort of formula works.
Yeah.
For Punch Out.
It's true. So yeah, had a good time with that. There it is. Oh yeah, and more Golden Sun. So that's it for me. You got any last ones? I know you played Smash last week.
Yeah, man. All right, I got 2 more games. I played the Pokemon Nuzlocke. I talked about this Nuzlocke, right?
Oh yeah.
Of Youth being like, I want to do it. So this time Youth wasn't there, and it's funny because like she was like, oh, I don't know if I can make it. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then at the I was literally like, I'm gonna raid somebody. She texted me and she was like, okay, I can stay for the rest of the time. And I was like, well, I'm leaving. So rip. But we got the second badge, man. Nobody died. This game sucks still. Like, I can't see any Pokemon dying short of my own negligence until like the 7th gym badge, because this game is terrible. Still ran into the whole situation of like no biodiversity a lot. But apart from that, going pretty good, man. Got 2 badges, no more deaths. 2 deaths. I lost Cricketune, he doesn't matter. And I lost I don't even know who else I lost. Who was the other Pokemon? There was one other Pokemon, I know that for sure. But I don't remember who, because that's how little they matter. Oh, yep. No, wait, was it a Bidoof? I think it actually was a Bidoof. I'm dead. I don't even think Cal was there for that. But yeah, no, it was also Steve the Bidoof. That's hilarious. But yeah, no, those are the 2 deaths, and they're probably going to be the only 2 deaths as far as I'm concerned. That was that game. Other than that, I played Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I went to a tournament and I got 3rd place, and that was pretty cool, but also I could have did better than that. So I went to the tournament and I got there pretty early. So I looked at the bracket and I thought
that helped. Do you feel like
what, looking at the bracket, going early?
No, getting there early. Yeah.
No, not necessarily. But I got there early, and the reason why that is relevant is because not that many people entered, and I was seeded to win. So this was the first tournament that I actually used my Smash GG, or Start GG now. So I got clout on this Start GG. I have some weight. So
what does that mean?
It just means that I've entered tournaments and I've done significantly better in those tournaments than I have done in any of the local tournaments that I've been to so far. So they weighted my seed based on how I've done online this time. So they were like, you have better results than anybody at this tournament currently, so you're probably going to win. That's how I was seeded at first, but not everybody showed up yet. I think I checked my seed later and I was like seeded 6th. So like I was happy about that, because like seeded first, that's a lot of pressure, because if I don't win, then I'm going to feel bad that I didn't win. Like they said I'm supposed to win. Like, so far my experience with these locals has been me assuming I am going to lose but I'm going to try to learn something. So it's worse when I'm expected to win, and I'm like, damn, now I gotta like try to win. But then once I figured out I wasn't seeded to win anymore, I was like, all right, I don't have to win. I just have to play the video game, and hopefully I do my best. And I got third, and that was pretty cool. But I could have at least gotten second, I feel like, because the person that beat the person that sent me to losers lost to me 3-1. And it was like this whole all right, so I'll just talk about the whole experience. So I came to the tournament. I was too early, actually. They were like, yo, you gotta get out of here, go get something to eat. We don't open for another like 20 minutes. And I was like, all right, cool. So I went and I got something to eat, and I came back. And then I warmed up with some people, and that was pretty cool. And then they're like, all right, bracket. And I was like, all right, cool. So then I played this guy, and he played Ganondorf, and I was like, bet. And I used Min, and I destroyed him. And then he was like, okay, cool. And he changed his character, and he was Samus. I hate Samus across the board. Doesn't matter what character I'm using. But I went PT, and I still beat him. So dope. First match, 2-0. The next match after that, I don't remember the characters, but I won that one 2-1, 2-1 or 2-0, one of those two. Then the next one, I fought a child who I've played before, and he's pretty good at the game. But I played him before, and he uses Luigi, who is not good. So first I used PT, and I think I won that game. And then the next game, I think I used PT again, and he won. And then I used Min, and then I won. And I was like, okay, cool, 2-1. I win the game. Go to the freaking TO and tell him that I won. And he's like, oh, actually, this is like quarterfinals or whatever, so it's best of 5. And I was like, well, the way that he framed it was like, it's best of 5, but like, since we didn't tell you beforehand, if you want to take the W, take the W. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that to this child. So then I was like, all right, I'll fight again. And then I freaking destroyed him with Min, and then it was 3-1. And I was like, all right, cool. But this child becomes relevant because then he had to fight the person that I eventually fought in losers, and he beat him. So it was like he beat him before. That was the match directly before that I was, because the seeding said that that I was supposed to fight the guy that he beat. Like, he was seeded to lose to the guy that beat me. So I was supposed to fight him and then go to losers, but he beat him. So that the child took his seed. So then I was like, oh, okay, well, all right, I beat him. And then I played against the guy that won the tournament, and then I got sent to losers. And then I fought the guy that lost to the child, and then I won. He played Game & Watch, who I don't have a clear answer for. I think Min's probably the better character, at least in tournament. But I think it was like 3-1. I think I won one. Yeah, I won one match with Min, and then the other 3 matches were not good for me. So yeah, I lost to him, and then I played this other. Before that, the guy that knocked me into losers, who won the tournament, he played Joker, and I was like, this guy is just better than me. Like that. That's like that. That is the first person in bracket anyway that I've played at these tournaments that I was like, I'm not as good as you yet. But every other person that I fought so far, I'm like, I could beat you. So that was good, and I got third. And then they were like, all right, cool, let's do squad strike. And then we did squad strike, and I got second in squad strike, so that was pretty cool. I don't know who my squad strike roster should be, because I use,
because that's 5, right? Or is that
3? It's 3. It can be 5, but it's 3 for tournament. So I obviously PT Min. For a while I messed around with Sora, but I don't feel as comfortable. It's been a very long time since I used Inkling. Yeah. Super long time. So I definitely don't feel comfortable in that. But I almost won with Roy, who I have never in my life used, like, except for like, and like, maybe not even that. Like, me and Lee, when I went to Brooklyn both times, not both times, 2 times that I've been to Brooklyn and went to his place. We did Smashdown, which is like you go through the entire roster, but I don't think I got Roy. I think he got Roy both of those times. So I'm pretty sure I never used Roy, but all that to say, I freaking fought him with Roy, and Roy actually did good despite never using him before. So maybe I gotta like freaking lab Roy. So yeah, I did pretty good, and I made my money back. So that's a good start.
Nice. Okay, so you do get was that from being second?
Top three, and
nice.
and so I guess it depends on how many people enter, whether or not they do top 3 payout. But yeah, I gotta pay for third, and hopefully I freaking make more money, because that would be cool and get better at the video game.
Yep.
How big is the local you go to usually? It varies. It depends on the week. It's like, I'd say like 20 to 60 people.
It's like that last
That's
week,
like the average. It was like 20 something.
Nice. That's awesome. Good job. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. And with that,
Q&A.
Let's answer some questions, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious about Roy though, and how that goes, because I know my I played Roy once, and like he was the only character for a second that I got in. No, I don't. Not that I got into Elite Smash. He just had
the highest GSP
because I won like 2 games with him, and I'd never used him before, and it was just because I was like, I don't know what's going on, and like not button mashing, but just like the Smash version of button mashing, where it's like I know Smash, but I just don't know this character, and so I'm just gonna do what makes sense to do with this character, but like I don't have ruts to fall into yet for them to like pick up on or anything. So it's just like just kind of unpredictably flailing around the way that I mostly know how.
So for me, like
go well.
with Roy, with pretty much any character in the game, I know the general, like minute to minute of like what it should look like to play them, because I play the video game. But I never played him before, so I don't know what it feels like to do that. Like Mario is an example of a character that in theory I know how to play him. I know what he should do because he's literally Squirtle, but his buttons are dumb and I think they don't make any sense. Like his spike being his forward air is the most dumb thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, that is weird. Yeah.
So like it's that sort of thing. But Roy, his buttons do make sense, and he's just a sword character that you run at somebody, and like literally he's like a sword character that rewards you for running into your opponent. So he's pretty easy. It's like you just freaking you're like, all right, I'm just gonna run through this person and I'm going to press the A button, and they're probably gonna die at 50.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some super powerful stuff too, without being like Ganondorf situation. Like he feels like a
I'd say he's like he's definitely like a better character than Ganondorf, but I think like in that regard he is like worse because he's faster. Like he's way faster than Ganondorf, and he has like comparable strength. It's not as strong. Like Ganondorf can hit you twice and you'll die. Roy can hit you like 4 times and you'll die.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was saying. I was saying Roy is better because he's faster. Right. Came out right. But I mean,
I was just saying because you said he's not quite Ganondorf, but like I'm like he's close enough. I meant in terms of strength, right?
I meant in terms of speed.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying like in terms of yeah. But yeah, he's way stronger than he should be for as fast as he is.
Exactly. Yeah. He kind of like a less fast, like Captain Falcon with a sword or something like that. I don't know if that's right, but like I don't know. He's cool. So yeah, good job, Roy. Curious about that. All right, Q&A, since we teased it already. First we got some questions from Twitter. For example, Pat, who hi, I'd like to ask.
Hi, Pat.
Number 1, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you? Let us know in the comments.
I am. Yeah, honestly, today's been a pretty good day. Days are very hit and miss these days because things are unpredictable. There's a lot of factors at play, but today was one of the good ones, and I'm thankful for that. So that's nice. So yeah, that's fun. Chris the Butte asked, have you heard about the Spider-Man mod debacle going on right now?
No.
No.
Hold on. What?
I heard somebody. You looking it up?
Yes, I'm about to look it up.
Nice. So the only thing that I know even a little bit is I heard somebody saying that like even on their 3080 Spider-Man doesn't run as well as it does on the PS5 or whatever, which like I don't know. Theoretically, I don't know what things are comparable, but like the way they were saying it, it sounded like it should be running.
I did hear about this. I did.
What's going on?
So there's this place that PC nerds know about. It's like something Nexus, and they can get mods for the video games, or like you can post I don't know if you can monetize them, but there was a mod that removes all the like LGBT flags from the video game because people are cringe. And then this company was like, nah, we're good on that. And then they removed that mod from their storefront or site or whatever. And now people are angry about that because they're like, free speech or whatever.
I mean, I think people conflate free speech all the time.
Yeah.
Like, if you're using a website or a company or whatever, like they can do what they want to do, you know? So like if they're a marketplace, if I'm Walmart the thing is somebody's trying to sell something at Walmart, I can just be like, I don't want to sell that here because it doesn't align with our beliefs or whatever. It just not, you know?
Like if anything, like the only like part of that equation that does have free speech in the way that they think, it is the corporation. Like if the government stopped them from doing that, like in response to these modders or whatever, like that would actually be like the infringement.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. Trev just said the government had no say in this decision, so it turns out it isn't a free speech issue. Because, like, you know, you can say something, I can punch you for it. Neither of those have anything to do with free speech. It's just like we got mad at each other for something that someone said or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, that's really funny. I mean,
so that's that situation. Yeah, rare W for PC companies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man alive. That's so funny.
Rare indeed.
Cheesy asked, you both have talked a lot about music before, so what's your favorite era of music and why?
Like early 2010s, man. Because that was like when Kendrick was first becoming relevant, and like there was
the Butterfly was around then, probably.
Yeah, like 2013, I think was To Pimp a Butterfly.
2015, interesting. I thought
was it 2015
for sure.
Yeah, I thought it was 2013. But anyway, 2011 is like when he like first like becoming prominent, and hip hop was way cooler then because there was a lot of people that were trying to make similar stuff to him, rather than a lot of like mumble rap and stuff like that, which is like whatever. I don't really care. But like for me, I'm more engaged when I'm like I hear especially then, because I was still like making music actively then, so like it was more of a like oh man, that's crazy, I could have never thought of that, you know? Like I like that feeling of like hearing something that I could have never thought of in a million years.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's I have two answers kind of, and I'm waffling between the two of them, but one of them it's for two of the reasons that you said exactly too. One of them was like the late 2000, like 2005 to 2010 kind of time, because that's when a lot of like some of my all-time favorite albums came out around then. And that was like, I don't know, just when the scene that I was into was also popular. So that felt fun or whatever. But those kinds of things have sort of faded. Like I've got other new favorite albums or whatever as well. So those things aren't the main thing. The main thing for that era is that was the era where I was making the most music. So that's fun. You know,
that's that's the thing. That's like, it's probably directly correlated for me too. Cause that's like, for me, like just making things in general, a lot of it is like a communal thing. It's like I'm more motivated to make things when people are making things that I'm inspired by, you know? Like I don't have this like internal desire to like exert my creativity on the world just because, you know, like
I mean, and I think so. My second pick would be for the second reason that you gave of like the people making things that's like, man, I would have thought of that or whatever. And honestly, it's right now. Like I feel like maybe like 2017, like this last 5 years, you know, and maybe that'll keep moving up or whatever. But a lot of my newer favorite albums of all time have come out in the last 5 to 7 years or so, and it's really good. And like it's definitely not as popular, like the genres, the stuff that I'm listening to, not that it matters at all, is not as like as much in the popular mainstream. And I definitely don't like, if we're just talking about what mainstream era of music do you like the most, probably it will have always been like somewhere in the 2000s or whatever, because it just so happens that the music that I liked was also the mainstream, whereas that's not going to happen again. Like, I can assure you that. But yeah, there's just like some really cool stuff happening now. And anytime, like I'll talk with, I've got like some folks that I know that are a little bit older than me or whatever, you know, like, and we'll say something to the effect of like, yeah, music just in the 80s or the 70s, it was great because people could do whatever they wanted or something. It was like, sure, they could do whatever they wanted on the radio, and like music was varied then on the radio. Music on the radio sucks now. However, there's so much music that exists that's just like across, anybody can make music now. So there's way more variety. It's just a little harder to find it. So yeah.
Right. And also though, it's just a thing that like so much of music is like everything around the music, which is like for me why I like get it. Like I'm not like mad about like the what music is now, because I understand that part of why I like what I like is because of what I was going through when that stuff came out, you know, what I was doing, you know. So it's not like a like old man shakes fist at cloud of like music's not that, because like for what it's worth, like what I like is still very popular. It's just not the thing that like like Kendrick and like people like him could only make, and especially since like people like Kendrick are way more likely to be like, I'm gonna drop an album and then I'm gonna be a recluse for 7 years. like that that's the like the double-edged sword of it all, of like it turns out people that put a lot of thought into their music spend a lot of time on making music, so you're gonna get less of it.
Yeah for sure. Yeah, it's tough, but like I don't know. Music, man, there's a lot of fun stuff there.
It's true.
No, but and like you said, I was vamping in my head for a second because I was trying to remember what I was gonna say, but it's like, you know, Breath of the Wild, it's one game that informed a lot of things, and you're never gonna have the moment of it being fresh in the same way again. Like a new thing can be fresh like that, but similarly, you know, like when Kendrick was first coming up and the things that it influenced are things that you like, obviously the time that he started doing that is going to be the most interesting part of that, you know?
Yeah.
And like,
I will say, for Kendrick specifically, it really isn't, for me at least, it's not a thing of like, oh man, like it's not new to me anymore, so he's not as good. I think he like gets better. I don't think that his last album was better than the album before that, but I do think that the last album, like the one that just came out, so Damn, I don't think it's as good as the album that was before Damn, which is To Pimp a Butterfly and Untitled Unmastered, but that doesn't really count because that's just To Pimp a Butterfly 1.5. Literally, because he was like still recording, like that was just leftovers that didn't fit the tone of the album, that he was like, all right, here, you have these, and that went platinum. But yeah, like Damn was very specifically and obviously an album that he's like, I want to be on the radio, and it was still like thought out, you know, like it was still a smart album, but it was not what I come to Kendrick for. But the last album that he put out, this newest one that came out this year, is probably my favorite album that he's done, outside of just sonically, you know, like it definitely means a lot more than the other ones have meant to me leading up until now. So it's less of a thing that like it's not about like his output being less relevant, or it's just like literally he doesn't make music that much, period. Not even like as much as he used to, but just he only comes out with an album like every like 2 years, like at the fastest, you know. He's liable to drop an album and then disappear for half a decade.
Yeah. I mean, and at that point, like, in what way does one album become an era?
Yeah.
You know, at that, because like you could have, you know, maybe the era is kind of sparse with the best album ever, but like, can that really define the rest of it around it? So
right.
that makes sense. Yeah, good question. Mitchell Monroe asked, if you woke up and you were Kirby, what's the first thing you'd inhale to see what powers you got?
I mean, it would have to be something that's like steer me.
Lamp? Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking probably a lamp.
A lamp?
It feels a little boring, but like it feels like a thing that like in my mind exactly what it does. You know, I'm not being select. If I'm Kirby, like I just wake up and I'm like, I gotta inhale something to find out if I can Kirby or not. Like that, you know, that feels like a pretty obvious test of the thing. Whether it's the most exciting thing or not, it's not.
I'm doing a car.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the car. And you know what? My brother's gonna be mad, but like, there's another one. Like, use that one.
I mean, the other thing that came to mind was my iPhone, and I don't know what powers I would get from that.
True.
But everything, maybe I'd become the universe, just kind of, you know, just one with it all.
RP said thoughts on Kendrick songs from Black Panther. Those are good.
Yeah. Last question from Twitter. Let asked, in Splatoon 1 and 2, they've had a final Splatfest to determine some aspects of the upcoming game. For instance, Splatoon 3's focus on chaos. Do you think any other game could adopt a similar practice, and should they?
I mean, I think any game could. Should they? Depends on how community forward they are. Like, I think that uniquely works for Splatoon because Splatoon is like such a community game. So for them to have their community decide the future of the game in some way makes a lot of sense. But for some other games, that could be to those games' detriment.
Yeah.
So
you know, so here's what I think on that too is like the ones, I think it also depends on what the decision is, whether it be to their detriment or not, because like if the thing that they're deciding is too specific, like chaos and order is so vague that they can twist that however they want it.
Yeah.
Which is great. But like if you, like to your point, if Pokemon tried to get Pokemon fans to decide like, do you guys want turn-based or action RPG, something like that, like it would not go well to just, it just wouldn't, you know, like, but if it's something like more sort of irrelevant where like the game can happen regardless of that, but people feel a little bit of ownership over it, even something like, do you want India or Mexico as the next region for it to be based on or whatever, like that kind of a thing, then like I could see that kind of thing work. Or maybe even more vague than that, like nature versus nurture.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think I could very easily see them doing like that, of them being like, here's two specific cultures. Do you want to base it on this or that? That could turn problematic instantly. Like,
yes, absolutely. I realize that is how they're saying it too. Like, yeah. But yeah, something more like, you know, more vague. I think the more vague, the better. And that was why, like, the chaos and
yeah, like they definitely could have went in the same kind of dystopian sort of situation either way, totally. with either one of those themes. But as far as like other games that could do it, that don't already, because like Fortnite to some degree I feel does that.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah. I think you're right about it being community focused, because like I wouldn't care about a Mario game doing that, because it's like it would need a catalyst, like a game based catalyst that's not just like a survey, because like the Splatfest is a way to decide information through the game. And so like,
Yeah, like I think like fighting games are a good example for that. Like the most used characters can like in the next game become like the villains or something like that. You know, like that sort of situation where the player base decides the direction of the next game and how they play the game. That sort of thing.
That'd be cool. Yeah, because even like in an actual sense, Smash 4 had the survey poll, whatever it was, and that's like kind of weird because like people made decisions and then we found out about those, and then at some point later people were like, well, I guess they're pulling a lot of characters from this poll, and that just feels like not that fun. I think what you said with the example of having characters fighting and stuff, and then like, you know, some are villains or that sort of thing where a story gets made out of what happened retrospectively, that's a fun thing. So I think, long story short, the answer, like if there's a game-based way to make those decisions and make it feel like it came out of it, then like that's neat.
Right. Any like it would have to either be like a multiplayer sort of situation or like a Life is Strange sort of thing where they like basically pull their player base to like to be able to have the data to then make creative decisions based off of that data. So freaking also, Kirby whatever this game's called 2.
You got it. Now questions from Discord, which first one's Chronically Cal, who just drew, I don't know where we can do something with this little Bidoof. That's Steve. She just drew Steve Bidoof.
I could pull it up. Hold on.
That's so good. Oh yeah, you can put it on the video. Nice.
Yep.
Smart.
Opener original, and then yeet this, and then full screen.
I didn't get it at first. It's a Steve Doof because he's it's a little Minecraft thing. Is the sun a square?
There
is the
it
sun
is.
A square in Minecraft?
Is what in Minecraft?
The sun in the picture.
Oh yeah, yes.
That's hilarious.
Yep.
Man, I love that. That's awesome.
It's great.
So Chronically Cal asked, do you guys think the update/support timelines for games like Splatoon 3 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe say anything about when to expect new hardware or what it'll look like?
No, not inherently. I think it could say like whether we're going to get a new game anytime soon, more than I think it says anything about hardware. It could say something about the new hardware right now, just because it seems like we're getting towards the end of everything. But I don't know, you know, because Nintendo says that they're in the middle still. They still insist that they're in the middle, and 2-3 years from now is not.
Yeah.
That's not the other end of the middle, you know? Like if we're going by their logic, we're looking at 4 or 5 years from now. So we'll see.
The tinfoil hat part of me says yes, it does, but only on the how far out it is, not how soon it is kind of side. That like the fact that we still have, you know, until the end of 2023 for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe stuff. So
you're saying like we won't get it at least until then. Right. You're not saying that like we'll definitely get it then. Yeah, that's more of what I think. Like where it's like maybe we'll see it by like that point, but like before that, probably not.
And like, you know, to be honest, I don't think that's not hard and fast by any means, because like I think depending on how they do it, and if they're doing the next generation the way I'm expecting them to, which is like pretty continuously out of this one, then like, you know, it probably wouldn't matter one way or another, because it's like, oh well, everything is just coming to this new one as well, but there's also going to be exclusive games on the new one, so you know, have at it.
To me, it also kind of feels like, just with how the OLED turned out and like what they're doing and like how they're communicating with their stockholders and stuff like that, it feels like they're monitoring the SoC situation with the chip shortage and whatnot, and trying to like time when they come out with their next thing with when all of that is figured out. So could be sooner if that is what they're waiting for at the same time, you know. That's why like I'm not sure that like this says anything directly. It could be them optimistically being like, hopefully we'll have stuff done here, you know. Or maybe it just means this is all we have planned out and we didn't want to play out further than this, so
we'll see. I don't know. Good question. And again, great drawing. That was so fun. Is that where the Steve name comes from for Bidoof? Is from Minecraft Steve? Or is it just Steve?
Who named Steve? I don't remember who named him. I don't remember who named him, so I couldn't tell you. So I talked about the Pokemon and the video game for this specifically for the youth lock. The chat still names the Pokemon, like they still suggest all the names. She just has final say if she's there.
Okay, yeah. Nice.
But I don't remember who suggested the name specifically.
Yep, makes sense.
Either youth or the new guy. Who's the new guy? You talking about Ebe? Ebe is somebody I know in the real world. He's probably actually downstairs right now.
Nice. Just yell to him. And see if he can get Steve.
No.
I'm joshing. Just making goofs about Doof. So yeah, there you go. Last question, and then we're done. Merc asked, if you could swap the Star Fox franchise with another Nintendo franchise, which would it be? As in that other franchise gets Star Fox's current status, historically loved, but currently struggling with recent entries that are divisive or disappointing, but hey, at least it's getting new games. You could either resurrect a more dormant franchise with a Monkey Paw and doom Star Fox to obscurity, or you could curse a more actively successful franchise and raise Star Fox to glory.
All right, people not gonna like me for this, but I'd say the Fire Emblem easily.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Easily,
I can see that. I'm hesitant to say this. It's tricky because like the last bit of the explanation of Star Fox in here, Mark, you said currently struggling with recent entries that are divisive or
I wouldn't say okay.
Hey,
so Rye said Fire Emblem is good though. I'm not saying that it's not good. What I'm saying is I wish they cared about Star Fox as much as they currently care about Fire Emblem. And the reason why Star Fox isn't good is because they don't care about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But the part that I'm most interested in is but hey, at least it's getting new games. Because that's the question, is it getting new games? Because depending on what new games it get, like depending on what the next thing is for Star Fox would change my answer on this. So I'm just going to assume that there is no next thing for Star Fox. I am dooming a franchise in this case. I'm
replaced with F-Zero. It's literally already in the same place as F-Zero.
Oh, right. Yes. It is. I'm gonna say Metroid, and that's like, I don't know. I feel like that probably is even worse than saying Fire Emblem, to be honest. But maybe not. I don't know. But for the reasons that I think Metroid Prime 4 is like gonna be this insane, awesome thing, and I would rather have a Star Fox game be that than a Metroid game be that, having not fully played a Metroid Prime game. So I don't know if that's true or not, but like,
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
that said, I think that like the thing is, like, the main thing for me is like Nintendo has enough games coming to their platform that is like what the one that I mentioned, Fire Emblem, is right on their platform. And people complain about it all the time. We get so many weeby RPG games, and I'm not complaining about it necessarily, but like getting Star Fox in exchange for a type of game that we already have plenty of, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. And that's my thoughts, and I'm sticking to them. You can be mad all you want.
That would make sense. Yeah, I definitely feel that. I mean, that makes sense. I would still love to get Fire Emblem and all that stuff. Then again, I've only played one of those games, so I miss that much? Maybe not. I think if I'm gonna do a second, I'm gonna do an alt choice for not dooming Metroid, but I don't know what that one is. Like one that I'm actually okay to see go, because I don't want to see Metroid go in reality. I just want, again, like I just said, I want Metroid Prime 4 to be that size and that scope, but Star Fox.
Yeah.
Because that's just a little bit more up my alley. So I'm actually going to say otherwise. I don't know. I honestly can't say. I'm just going to leave it at that. It'll be fine.
Nice.
All right, I mean, my real answer is probably like Splatoon or something, but that's besides the point. So, all right, that's it.
Nice. All right, just freaking do all the things. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you listen to the podcast on YouTube, check it out on podcast services. Rate, review, all that good stuff. If you already listened to it on podcast services, subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/directly to you. Okay, goodbye.
Bye.